still thinking. So after the little demonstration, you guys, it's really quick today. It's kind of like the tiles that you guys made for when you had Miss Thomas and you guys were making those texture tiles. I have to admit, not a lot of you did that. So I do need you to participate in that today. I don't know why it's being so slow. There we go. Hi. So I'm going to demonstrate today how to make tiles and what's called a sprig mold. So you need to make at least one tile today. And that tile is going to show a symbol that you might use on your cup. So you can think of your social commentary theme and then one of those. So I'm going to cut off about a finger down of clay. If you have your big block of clay, you can just cut the whole piece off and then you can put it back in the bag. So about a finger down. And then you don't have to do this necessarily unless you want to do the next thing, but I'm just going to prepare it since I have my clay out. I'm going to go about 2 fingers down because I'm going to use this to make a mold. You only have to make the tile, but after you see the demo, if you want to make the mold, you can. And wrap up your clay and keep that clay inside. Do not let it freeze. Okay, so for the tile, you guys learned with Miss Thomas how you can use the 2 wood slats and roll it out. But I'm okay if you also just flatten it or toss this one, because this one you will just be using to practice on. So you can do that, or you can toss it to make it thinner. You guys have seen that. I should have cleaned my flab lamp from this morning. Or the other option is you just roll it in a ball. Remember, when you roll balls of clay, do it in your hands because your hands are curved. Don't do it on there. And flatten it and make it like a disc. And you can also use this disc if you want to turn it into an ornament, or if it's small enough, a magnet. Okay. So what you're going to do on here is you are going to create a type of symbol that you might choose to use on your piece, on your cup. So a lot of Aaron Tools pieces, they aren't flat designs on their cups, they're 3D. And he used molds, and I'll talk about that next. But what you can do on here is you can try to find something to press in the clay. So you want to be careful because you don't want to use really expensive things like gold or silver. But let's say you were doing something related to religion or something like that. Maybe you have a necklace or something you press into there. Don't go and just take your grandpa's medal of honor. It will be backwards, but that could be kind of cool. But one option is to press into the clay. If you want to carve into it, you have to let it get leather hard. So if you guys carve, remember I took your needle tools away, you have your stick, into your clay, it leaves clay boogers. So it's better to let the little disc sit by the fan or sit out a while and then carve your design into it. So, but if the clay is plastic and soft like this is the time you can slip and score and add things to it. So let's say you wanted to do something related to peace. You could do coils where you roll out, and then you do need to slip and score. I don't have my slip with me, but remember that's how it sticks. So if I was going to do the peace sign, remember it has 3, otherwise it's the Mercedes sign. I could slip and score something like that, and that could be one symbol. Another symbol that you could do is when it's leather hard, you could carve into it. And let's say you were doing something with cigarettes or addiction, you could do like a skeleton, or you could do a needle or a gun or something like that, because that is completely representing what you're doing about social commentary. But like I said, avoid symbols like the Nazi symbol and that kind of thing. Okay, so you're just going to create one. If you want to make it something that you can hang up, I don't know if you'd really want an ornament that had like a diction needle on it. But if you did want to do that, you'd have to poke a hole and wiggle it bigger, because remember our clay shrinks, and smooth it. So after you upload the picture to the Padlet, you can squish it and you can reuse the clay, or if you want to keep it, put it in a Ziploc and I can fire it for you, and we can use it to test glaze or just have a little ornament or something like that. Okay, but you have to make sure you have a picture of it uploaded to the Padlet. So if you want to draw into it, let it get leather hard. If you're going to slip and score on it, do it when it's wet. Okay, the next one I'm going to show you is optional, but a kind of cool thing you might try on your own. So Aaron Toole, in his video, he made what are called sprig molds. Okay, so some of you guys have used these in the class. So he said people would give him things to make molds out of them. And one of the things that he had was a toy soldier. And I have one here. I stole one from my kid. Hi. So he would make molds using these. This one's kind of big. So the one I used is this one of the guy crouching down, toy soldier. Okay, so to make a sprig mold, what Aaron Toole did is he would press it into the clay and bisque fire it. The molds that we have here, we have bisque molds, but we also have these plaster molds. So some of you guys may have used these before, and unfortunately you don't have access to them at home. So the way they work is either the bisque fired clay or the clay that is, or the plaster doesn't stick. It's porous. And so what you would do is you would just take your clay and press into the form, and then you would take a wire tool and cut it off and slip and score it on there. Well, you don't have that at home. So I'm going to show you how you can make your own mold, okay? Your own sprig mold. Sprig means that it sticks out from the pot as a relief, but it's not 3D. Okay, so it's one-sided, basically. It's a bas relief, low relief. You learned that in class before. So what I did for this piece is I took a thicker piece of clay. I squished it, so I'm flattening it again. So it's a bit thicker piece of clay. And then I took my object and I pressed it in there. Now, you might have to put a little bit of Vaseline on your object. And so that's why I don't want you to use anything really precious so the clay won't stick to it. And then it just washes off in the sink. And so what you would do here is you would just take your object, I'm using the soldier, and I would press that into the clay pretty deep to make my mold. Now, ideally, this doesn't stick, so I'm good to go. I checked it earlier today. So I clean off some of those little sharp areas. Ideally, you could bisque fire this before you use it, but you may not have time to do that. And if you want to, you could bring these in. I could bisque fire them so you can use them again. But another way that works pretty well is if you let the piece go to leather hard, like this one, it still works pretty well as a mold, okay? So I would have to let this dry a really long time because it's so thick before I bisque fire it and turn it into a sprig mold. But I found that if you let it go to leather hard, it's good. Bone dry, it could break. So once it's leather hard, put it in a Ziploc if you're going to use it again and again. Like let's say you want to actually use it on your cup when you start making your cups next week. So what you would do for a sprig mold, just like I showed you for the plaster one, is once it's leather hard, you would just take your soft clay and press it into the form and pull it out. And there I have my toy soldier. Now it's not ideal and perfect, but I can take my stick and cut it out and it would be pretty close. And like the head got lost, so I could slip and score and make that. And then that would be an option too. So you only need to make one. You can decide if you want to make a tile. Remember, if you carve into the tile, you need to make sure it's leather hard so you don't have all those nasty looking clay boogers. But if you're slipping and scoring onto your tile, your symbol, you can decide it that way. Otherwise, you can attempt to make your own mold at home like this one. Okay, so you need at least one tile uploaded to the Padlet, okay, before class on Monday.